the Student Section Summer League podcast. What's going on, sports fans? Welcome to the 7th episode of the Student Section Summer League podcast. I am Dom Taylor, along with my co-hosts Cooper Husky and Dylan Morgan. Guys, how are we doing on this fine afternoon?
Fantastic. I'm ready to talk about some sports.
I'm feeling great. We're going to find out why.
Are we going to find out why?
Well, we're going to find out why.
We're going to find out. I
feel terrible with the state of sports right now. I mean, like, it makes me happy that we're able to come on here and talk about it. But at the same time, it almost just kind of pushes my depressed self away for a little bit, just to think about like what it's like to talk about sports. And then I go back to realizing like, oh no, they all could be canceled. Yeah, it's not going good right now, guys. And that's mostly what we're going to be talking about today. For the most part, there will be some bright spots. We will get into, of course, our CFB all-time team final result. The final result is in. You guys voted, and we were going to see who won that bracket of 12, who got all the way to the bottom and who came out on top as the champion. But first off, we're going to get into a little bit about just what's going on in college football and some of the cancellations that they're having with non-conference play. And then we're going to talk about the NHL, which just released their playoff schedule. We're going to get a little bit into that, and then we'll jump into the MLS and their struggle with the bubble. They're having some problems there, some sickness getting into the players, even though the bubble perimeter was set up. Maybe some of the parallels between that and the NBA. And then, of course, we will let you know who won the all-time CFB team debate. So first off, let's talk about what's going on in college football, guys. It's not looking good. I mean, college football is part of my life. I'm not a player, obviously, but it's like, it's such a big deal for the fans too. And when we're hearing that conferences are deciding to cancel preseason games and cut their seasons down to 9 games, instead of the full 12. I mean, it's a crazy time. The Big Ten, they decided to switch over to just conference play. It's a much easier way to I guess not contain the virus, but if something were to happen, it's easy for them to format how they want their schedule to go down. There's not a bunch of other schools and other conferences in play. They can just be like, all right, the Big Ten as a whole has decided to shut down. If it gets to that, God forbid it does. The Pac-12, they decided to follow suit. They decided that they wanted to cancel their non-conference. And so here are some of the casualties. Washington versus Michigan, that's no longer on the table. That was a big matchup that people were really excited to see. Oregon versus Ohio State. That's a huge game that we had talked about just a few weeks ago. And, of course, that's no longer happening now, too. I was really excited to see that game, guys. That was honestly probably that was the game I was most excited to see in the non-conference weeks. And then over the other game that was canceled, Bama versus USC, I was more excited to see Oregon versus Ohio State. But the second most excited, of course, probably would have been Bama versus USC. And now that's canceled as well. USC wanted to pull they didn't pull any punches. They decided to say, we still want Bama. They were too scared to play us. They decided to say that on their Barstool account, which is hilarious because, it's easy to say stuff when there's no consequences, right?
Yep.
But we saved them a 40-point shellacking, I guess you could say. Now there is no word. The other conferences haven't decided yet whether or not they want to follow suit. The SEC has said nothing this far. I think they're going to be the ones that hold out the longest. Big 12 has yet to make a decision. The ACC did say they were going to make a decision on whether or not to do this, but they were probably going to do it later in July. So we won't hear on that. Notre Dame, being a huge school, going to join the ACC if that happens, if they need to play conference games because non-conference is canceled. And already they've lost some of their opponents, of course. So this is bad news, guys. This is not looking good for college football as a whole because to me this signals a ripple effect. this signals a foreshadowing of things to come if it continues to tumble. Like we said last week, the Ivy League, they've already canceled their entire fall sports season. I've talked enough on this matter right now. Tell me, guys, how did that make you feel when you heard that these non-conference games are gone? I mean, what do you think? I mean, are there any bright spots that could come of this? What's going on here?
I wholly agree with you, Dom. I think this is a sign of things to come. I really want it to be maybe just the buck stops here. It's just, okay, we play 9 weeks and we figure out the rest of it as we go along at that point. And I'm hoping that's maybe all that's going to do right now, but I'm definitely thinking we are going to start seeing the ACC come out, the Big 12 come out, then the SEC come out, and then maybe a couple weeks later, once these cases continue to rise, probably as we're shooting for right now, then we'll see some teams starting to drop out altogether.
Yeah, it's not looking good. And just this, it's not football, but it's still a part of the game experience. The ACC has canceled all bands. No bands will be in the stands if they play a football season. So while it's not canceling football, that's still canceling part of the college football experience. Because that marching band is one of the many things that separates college football from the NFL. And so that's a sign to come for the ACC. I am just not liking what the world is going to do with college football right now. And I don't know what this is going to do for bowl season or the college football playoffs either. Will we have one? Will teams be allowed to leave the confines of their regional areas? Like, will Alabama be able to go to the Rose Bowl or the Fiesta Bowl or wherever the playoff is this year? Will they be able to leave the South? Probably not. This may be a year where we go back to the poll era, and just whoever's number one at the end of the season in the AP is your champion. And so it's definitely an interesting time. It's kind of sad. It really is sad.
You know, I definitely agree with that notion. The thing that I've been thinking about too is I haven't heard a lot from players and how they feel, knowing that they could potentially be losing a season, they could be losing exposure, and I know it's so important for these players to get that exposure during the season, to be able to be drafted, and I just think, like, I haven't heard much from. All I've heard is players saying they don't know, but do they really even want to play given the risks that are involved? It's one thing, you know, on the one hand, you've got my career, you know, seniors, guys like Dylan Moses, for example, who was injured last year. You know, they're going to push the season back. They're going to have less opportunities to get him exposure. But then you've also got, like, his health and well-being in his family. You know, I mean, there's it's one thing to set up a bubble when you have billions of dollars, like you have the NBA, and you've got people that want to do it and they're able to stay there, and the only thing they got to worry about is their professional basketball career, and they can just chill there for 3 months. But it's another to tell, you know, 100,000 student athletes, hey, stay here for 4 months and put on a season for us. And you know, maybe you'll get drafted because of it. You know, like maybe you'll have enough exposure. I mean, that's a little bit of a stretch in what I just said, but it's like that's kind of the feeling right now, you know. And so I want conferences to think for sure, if they decide to do this, what are they doing that's in the best interest of the players as a whole, you know? And are the players on board with this? Are they just forcing these student athletes to do it because they don't have a voice and they're kind of strong arming them with their education, or is it really because they want to play? So I think those are all good takes, guys. That you know, as usual, ridiculously tough time in sports. I mean, what can you do? We are at the mercy of a unforeseen force that is wreaking havoc on all of these sports. Let's jump into the NHL playoff. All right, let's talk about a schedule that has come out. They know what they're doing. Coop looks excited.
Coop's
I mean, I
foaming
see.
at the mouth.
Yeah,
right
this is what he's been waiting for.
Yeah.
He's got the jersey on. He's got the background. He's going,
Yes.
you know, let's go Bolts, right?
I am excited. I am just really pumped up for this.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's jump into this and you guys break this down for me. I want to hear. We got you are the two hockey fanatics that we have on this podcast. All right. First off, let me just break down. You've got Toronto and Edmonton with the Eastern and the Western conferences right now, right? East qualifying round. Okay. You've got a best of 5 series starting August 1st. It's going through the 10th, and then same on the other side in the West qualifying round. Mm-hmm. It looks like, I mean, I see right now, right off the bat, 8 versus 9, Toronto and Columbus on one side, of course, and then 8 versus 9, Calgary and Winnipeg. Those are going to be some strong matchups, mm-hmm. right? Those are going to be some interesting series that people are going to want to see. When you look at this schedule, what are some of the things that kind of stand out to you? All right, some of those key matchups, some of those like the things that caught your eye. What are some of those matchups?
Coop, I'll defer to you. I know you're excited for this, so
I am. I've been waiting for this since they canceled in March 12th. The thing that catches my eye, Dom, when I look at this schedule, is that from August 3rd to August 9th, there are 6 hockey games happening every day. Just back to back to back to back, hockey nonstop. I know the 3 of us will be starting to move back to Alabama, starting to move back to Tuscaloosa, but to me, that's must-see TV. So I'm on the lonely drive from Jacksonville to Tuscaloosa. It's going to be hockey on the phone, hockey on the radio. Of course, I won't be the one driving, but, I'll be the one watching the games. That said, the games I'm looking forward to, like you said, Dom, Toronto-Columbus is going to be a really great series here in the East qualifying round. That was your 8-9 matchup. Columbus was only a couple points behind Toronto heading into the final 3 weeks of the season, and they were really making a push to get that 8 seed and back into the playoffs. So that should be a really fun series there in the East. And over in the West, too, 8-9 is always going to be a great matchup, whether it's March Madness or now the Stanley Cup qualifiers. You got Calgary and Winnipeg. Calgary, they have the 8th spot, but they were kind of on the down track. They were one of the top 3 in their division in February, but they've hit a skid. So we'll see if this 3-month rest period has helped any of their players.
All right, I'm going to go on the flip side here. I'm not looking too hardly at any one series on either side. I'm actually paying attention to the round robins going on both sides, because what it is this year with the round robins is it's the top teams from each side. So you got these top teams going at it almost every other day now, and we're going to see some high-profile matchups for almost 10 days in a row. I think it's beautiful. It's going to make for some fun hockey for sure. And I think we're going to see some good movement in the top spots, because they're going to be having to play these hard, tough games back to back to back like that.
Of course, both of our teams are going to be playing in those round robins.
It's beautiful, yes.
You in the West, so it should be fun.
Thank you.
And I look forward to seeing you in the Stanley Cup Finals.
You as well, my friend. Yes. You as well.
I'll tell you guys this, I do not consider myself much of a hockey fan. I really do not follow it that much. However, one of the things I've been wanting to do is to get into it. I've been wanting to start, really digging deep. I've been wanting to start really following the movements, following the key players. And I'm almost intimidated when I see a schedule like this. I'm like, oh, dang. I got time on my hands and I got sports to watch, and I'm excited for this. Like, truthfully, I want to see, I want to see some dudes get smashed into window panes, guys. It's been a little too long, right? Yeah. Good. Do we have any picks? Who do we think of what you guys see here? What you guys see of the scheduling here? Who do you think probably has a good shot to get into championship area? Are there any kind of dark horses? Are there any people any teams that might make a run? Any team? I mean, obviously, Coop, I know you're going to say the Bolts, but if we could just kind of Bolts and the Stars. Like, we get it. Thank you very much, guys. We know where your allegiances lie.
Yes.
But what do we see here? Who could possibly pull this off?
Well, honestly, the Bolts and the Stars have some really good chances. The Bolts are the number 2 team in the league right now, only behind Boston. So they're another really good cup favorite. The Stars, of course, they're in the top 4 in the West. They're just killing it right now. They had a strong 2020 half of this 2019-2020 season. So our 2 teams are really good, but Boston is the team that's going to give me nightmares during these Stanley Cup playoffs, because I can just see it right now. They're hungry. They gave up the cup to St. Louis last year, so they're hungry. They want to get back at it, and they're just really good this year. So Boston is the one that really scares me.
Go Bruins. Yeah, go Bruins.
Obviously I'm going to agree with Coop with the strength of both of our teams, but I think some teams that'll do well also, I would say the St. Louis Blues. They were very strong this season. They finished in towards the top, as we know, as they're going to be in the round robin for the West. I think the Blues had a very strong season, good defensive side for sure. And I think on the flip side, at this point, you just have to watch out for the Caps. You gave Alex Ovechkin a very long break, and he was already good when he was playing back-to-back games. So I think you're going to have to watch out for a team like that. It could be a sneaky dark horse. Even though they are towards the top, they are kind of looked down upon with the strength of the rest of the East right now. So I definitely think those 2 teams you're going to have to watch out for towards the end of these playoffs.
Awesome, guys. That's that is amazing. I'm just glad that we have another functioning league, because of all this bad news that's been going around. That's great. Cool. Well, let's see if the Blues can defend it. Let's see if the Bolts can redeem themselves after the garbage that happened last year. And sorry, I had to bring it up. We're talking about
I know
hockey,
you had to bring it up. I just a little mad at you right now.
I wasn't gonna let it slide. I mean, that's
all right.
One of the few things that I could.
Well, hey, I'm just gonna say, if you're looking for a team, I've got a shirt waiting for you. It's got a nice lightning bolt down the center. So if you're looking for a team.
Yeah, one of the things that we haven't talked with you about, Coop, is Dylan and I every single week try to bring up a painful sports moment to rub it in your face, specifically of your fandoms, though. So it's.
Oh well, thank you. Thank you for thinking of me.
Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yes.
You're welcome. You are a valued member of this podcast.
Yes.
It's all right. Bring up whatever painful moments and memories.
Well, now that I know it's an organized thing, I gotta start doing my research.
Absolutely. Anyways, guys, awesome. I cannot wait for it's hockey season. Coop, give me a it's hockey season.
All right.
Yeah.
It's hockey season.
All right. Good. Woo! Awesome. Good to have hockey back.
Yeah.
Getting back on the rink there, but let's talk about another playoff that's going on and definitely not going well so far, at least, the MLS playoff and their bubble that they've decided to fashion. So they've created one that's somewhat similar in execution as the NBA bubble. It's a bubble. But already they've had COVID-19 get into that bubble. So both DC United and Toronto FC, they've had players test positive for COVID-19. They were going to play each other. That's been postponed. I would pretty much postpone them for, obviously doctors say about 2 weeks, but now you got other teams involved. Now, there is a safety aspect with who are not only their players, but all of their personnel coming into contact with in their bubble. And are they, talking with other teams or other neutral parties that might be going to other teams, and where are they traveling? And it's geez, is this going to continue to go? And if it does, what does this say for the NBA, for example? How does the MLS handle this? And does the NBA take notes on geez, if that's what happened with the MLS, then we got to figure out what we're going to do if that happens. Give me your reactions, guys. What's going on with the MLS?
Well, just in an update, they did a follow-up test. All the follow-up tests have come back negative, and actually the match has now been rescheduled to what will be tomorrow, July 13th now, which I think is very fast. But I guess because all tests came back negative for the second time, they feel pretty good about this. But I think the problem that's been with the MLS is we've already seen teams dropping out of the playoff. This isn't players sitting out. We've seen multiple teams already dropping out of the playoff, pulling themselves out of title contention altogether, which is, I think that's a bold move for a lot of teams because you're getting the chance to come back and fight for a championship, but now you're declining. But so I think we've seen some negative steps in that remark first off. So this already started off pretty badly with teams dropping out. And now that even though the tests have come back negative, who's to say the next game that they try to play, players aren't positive, and then the next one and the next one and the next one. But I will say the way the NBA seems to be going about it is they are under a full microscope at all times, and they are contained down there in Disney World. And it seems like things are going positively for the NBA. There's been no spiking cases amongst anybody down there. It's fully sealed off by all means. So I think we'll just have to wait and see maybe for the season to progress and them to maybe actually play some games or some exhibition games and to see if the cases start to spike at that point.
Yeah, like Dylan said, the problem was that there was a scare. It may have come back negative, but there was a scare, and so that's not good. You know, what's not to say that a scare like that could happen to the NBA or to the NHL and just stop these leagues altogether. So this really brings up questions and worries for me for a bubble environment for sports. Is it really possible to just kind of like block out the virus from where your hub is? And so we'll see. We'll see what the NBA can do because they're under a bigger microscope or a more fine-tuned microscope, I should say. So it's just something you got to think about. Thankfully, the players don't have it and they can go back to playing, but it's just interesting to see that headline pop up in our feeds.
You know, it says a lot to me about the it says a lot to me about like the American people, I would say. You've got all these other countries that their COVID rates and their diagnosed cases are not even, fractional compared to what we're getting every single day. And yet we have like more sports leagues than them by a lot in terms of how many sports we sponsor and have going at the same time. And, it's not just soccer. We have literally 10 other leagues that we have going on simultaneously, right? And we want every single one to be up and running while all of this is going on. And we're biting and scratching and clawing at something that may not be attainable. I mean, we may have to come to the reality that like this, it may not work. How do we bubble that many people and make it not happen when we're in such a like globalized and intermixed society of people that are just constantly, going back and forth with each other and making contact. And it's like, I don't know. I really don't think it's possible. And as Americans, we're pretty stubborn, and these are things that we want, and we see them as things that like we can't cancel them. This is our culture, It's like we may have to for a year. Max Kellerman was going off the other day about this, and he was furious that we were even thinking about having like a college football season when our numbers are only spiking, and they will go down, and we will get the antibodies, but it's like we don't have a vaccine in place, so. What's the point of even trying? It's just going to be way more stress and money and resources used. And we could have just from the beginning clamped down on this and kept it from spreading. And then on top of that, you've got NBA players that are complaining because the food sucks. And it's like
that has been corrected, by the way. Though.
Has it?
Yes.
Has it been
corrected? They hired a professional chef to come fix all of it up, so that has been corrected. So.
It's ridiculous, man. It's like, why are you here? Why are you here? There's so many players that would that one, kind of get what's going on and that food is not really important, but like two, they would love to have your salary, your spot playing on that court, even if a pandemic's going on and they're giving you every single, benefit and pampering you, and you decided in the first place to come and play. I mean, what were you expecting? Like, like you're not back at your Beverly Hills mansion playing for the Lakers. Like you're in Orlando in a quarantine bubble trying to finish off the season that you said you wanted to. Like it. I don't know. There are just so many. It's just so weird. It's like it just doesn't feel right. I want sports more than anybody, or as much as the next guy, I should say. But we may just be too stubborn. Yeah,
it is a weird time we're living through, but it's an important time we're living through, and we're seeing change happen. And so it's just good to be a part of it, have this show, and give our 2 cents on what's going on right now.
No doubt, Coop. And we'll get that out of our heads. All right, we'll be done with that topic. It's just going to make us pissed off and angry. And we will get to the CFB GOAT round. All right, you guys, the greatest of all time has been decided by us via Twitter. And the winner of the 2020 Student Section Summer League CFB greatest of all time college football team is, drumroll please, 2019 LSU Tigers. Which we kind of all – by a landslide.
Thank you, Twitter.
We all saw this was coming. I will take full credit.
Helpful.
You were not helpful. We probably kind of already knew that before we decided this. But, hey, who knows? I mean, we also were surprised.
But you know what? I will say thank you to the people that did vote.
Yes.
I think it ended with how many? 12 votes?
12 votes total, 8 for LSU.
Minus 3 of us. Minus my girlfriend, the 8 votes. There was 8
No. I did not vote. I did not vote.
Oh, wow.
I did not vote a single week because I wanted to leave it to.
I cheated.
You cheated.
That's okay. I voted twice sometimes, so don't worry.
Oh my God.
We count for each other.
All right. Well, now you've ruined the facade.
Yes.
Anyways,
Warren
I think if we got
from Oklahoma, it was really me.
Listen, if we polled the country, I think the other teams would have been different in terms of who was second, third, and fourth, and fifth, and whatever.
Maybe.
But first, I think was undisputed. I think absolutely 2019 LSU. Yep. It's the freshest in our minds. It had the most pow. It had the most, one of the greatest players ever to come out of college.
Had the most coverage by far.
Yep, absolutely.
So had the most
came out of nowhere.
Top 10 wins of all time.
Yeah.
It was
LSU.
Just crazy.
It was last year's LSU team. Now, if we're talking about best programs, LSU is definitely not the best, but they may have just fielded one of the best to ever do it in a single year in college football history. So it's true. Let's go do a quick recap. 2019 LSU beat 1961 Alabama. This is the first round. 2009 Alabama beat 1999 FSU. 2008 Florida beat 1995 Nebraska. 2005 Texas beat 1996 Florida. Then in the second round, LSU beat 2009 Alabama. 2005 Texas beat 2008 Florida. That was not bogus, Coop.
That was bogus.
That was that was not. That was complete. That's what was supposed to happen.
Right.
People voted.
People did vote.
People did vote.
That was what they wanted. I don't know if Texas got there to begin with. So if that's what you think is bogus, that could be it.
I am people as well.
Yes.
There you go. And then, of course, LSU beats Texas. And here we are. Joe Burrow, I am going to take half the credit for my speeches that I've given the last few weeks on why LSU was so good. Because I can I do. Thank you. Thank you very much. I will.
You're a magical public speaker.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. I took the class,
Good.
I took the class and I passed it. So I'm now a professional public speaker. Congrats to LSU. You've gotten our award. You can put another award on your bulletin board of and your trophy case, the Student Section Summer League podcast, greatest of all time team. There we go, guys.
It would be fun to go to a little trophy shop and send them something.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
small football guy says, Student Section Summer League Podcast, funny GOAT college football team.
Yes.
I
See if
think
we
it
get a
should
letter
be.
back.
I think we should do a Dixie cup with a pencil poked through it on a like balancing on something that kind of looks like a
Yes.
trophy, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, and then we can fill it with like a Capri Sun or something, and then
Yeah.
it's, you know,
Okay.
yeah, or
Sounds
something
good.
summery or like
Spray
Yeah,
paint it
something.
with spray paint.
Yeah.
a little bit.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah. LSU,
LSU.
fruit letters.
Be ready for our our
Yes.
package.
Yes.
Go Tigers. Well, that's all we got for this show. Thank you so much. We were happy today. You know what? We just needed to laugh a little bit, given all the doom and gloom that's going on today. I hope you enjoyed it all. And a quick teaser, if you like that college football debate, we're going to have another one coming up in a couple weeks because we just absolutely love this sport. But this time it's going to involve some players, and it may not be what you think it is. If you think that it's going to be the greatest college football player of all time, you are dead wrong.
Not so fast.
Not so fast. Not so fast,
No.
in the words of Lee Corso.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you so much for joining. Stay tuned for that college football debate that we're going to have coming up in a few weeks, and we will see you next weekend on the Student Section Summer League Podcast. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.